1958 in Sweden, a 17-year-old Brazilian boy walked onto the pitch. He scored 2 goals in the final, cried on the field, and the world watched a king being born. His name was Pelé. In 2018 in Russia, a 19-year-old French boy scored in the final. He became the first young player to do that since Pelé. His name was Mbappé. Now in 2026, in America, an 18-year-old Spanish boy is about to play his first World Cup. And after he scores, he does something, listen to this, he places an imaginary crown on his head. His name is Lamine Yamal. I have refereed for 30 years. I have seen many young players. Most walk onto the pitch with fear. They hesitate when the ball comes. They're terrified of making a mistake. This one is different. This one walks onto the pitch like a king, and he's only 18. Today, I'm going to tell you his story. But let me warn you, this story isn't just about goals and records. There's a family in it, an identity, an injury, and yes, even a party scandal. Because this kid isn't just a footballer. He's a character. Let's begin. Esplugues de Llobregat, the neighborhood right next to Barcelona. If Barcelona were a house, Esplugues would be its backyard. On July 13, 2007, a child was born here. His name was Lamine Yamal Nasraoui Ibana. Look at that surname for a second. Nasraoui, that's a Moroccan name, from his father. Ibana, that's a name from Equatorial Guinea, from his mother. 2 continents, 2 cultures, 1 child, and that child was born in Spain. Now, remember in the Morocco video, I told you about diaspora players. Hakimi, Brahim Diaz, Ziyech, all born in Europe, but they chose the country their roots pulled them toward. Yamal's story is the opposite. He's also a diaspora child, but he chose the soil he was born on. Was that choice easy? No. Technically, Yamal could have chosen between 3 flags: Morocco, Equatorial Guinea, Spain. The Spanish Federation met with him, tried to convince him, and he chose Spain. But he didn't forget his roots. At Euro 2024, people noticed something on his boots. 2 small flags, Morocco and Equatorial Guinea. He wore the Spain shirt, played for Spain, but underneath his boots he carried where his family came from. It's a small detail, but it tells me a lot. Now let's talk about La Masia, Barcelona's legendary academy. Messi, Xavi, Iniesta, they all came through here. And in 2014, at age 7, little Yamal joined. April 29th, 2023. The Real Betis match. Yamal stepped onto the pitch for Barcelona's first team. 15 years, 9 months, 16 days old. And this broke a record that had stood since 1922. 101 years. Think about that. In 1922, Barcelona's youngest player was someone whose name we barely remember today, buried in black and white photographs. And 101 years later, a kid came along and broke that record. October 2023, he scored against Granada in La Liga, youngest goal scorer in La Liga history. So let me pause and say this. This kid wrote himself into the history books twice before he even turned 16. September 2023. The Spanish national team plays Georgia. The match ends 7-1, a wild score. And Yamal scores in that match, 16 years old. He becomes Spain's youngest ever international and youngest ever goal scorer, both in the same night. And then Euro 2024 arrives, the tournament in Germany. Yamal is 16, the youngest player in the entire tournament, the semi-final against France. And here's something that still gives me chills when I talk about it. Yamal cuts in from the right wing. That famous left foot, the one I keep mentioning, swings back, shot. The ball finds the net, goal of the tournament. And with this goal, Yamal becomes the youngest goal scorer in European Championship history. Spain wins the tournament, their 4th European title. And Yamal, the day after his 17th birthday, becomes the youngest player ever to win a major international trophy. 17 years old, champion, the youngest European champion in history. Now let me tell you something. After all this success, how did this kid behave? Did he retreat into a humble corner? No, the complete opposite. In the 2024-25 season, he played 55 matches for Barcelona, scored 18 goals, made 25 assists. These aren't the numbers of a 17 or 18-year-old. These are the numbers of a player at the absolute peak of his career. In October 2024, he won the Copa Trophy, the award for the best player in the world under 21. And at the 2025 Ballon d'Or, football's biggest individual award, the race for the best player on the planet, he finished second. At 18 years old, second, an 18-year-old kid finished second in the race for the best player in the world. But here's something I have to tell you. Because this kid isn't just talented, he also has an enormous, overflowing, almost unbelievable amount of confidence. And the Spanish press isn't always comfortable with that. In one match, he played a pass with the outside of his foot, a trivela, and assisted a goal for Rafinha. Afterwards, a reporter asked him about it. He turned and said, "The pass with the outside of my foot? Just press L2, I guess." L2, the trivela pass button in the football video game. A 17-year-old kid, European champion, one of the best players in the world, and his post-match answer is a video game reference. Social media went wild. "You just can't hate this guy," one fan wrote. "Lamine is special," wrote another. He responds to critics the same way. To people who call him cocky, he said, "As long as I win, they can't say anything to me. When they beat me, they can say whatever they want." And the goal celebrations. This season he started doing something, placing an imaginary crown on his head, the way LeBron James does in basketball. The Spanish press called it boastful, said it wasn't fitting for a young role model. National team coach Luis de la Fuente had to step in. To me, it didn't look like crowning himself. It looked more like putting on a magician's hat, like he'd just done another magic trick. That's how I understood it. Then there's the boots situation. His teammate Ronald Araujo saw Yamal's sparkly, flashy boots and joked on Instagram. "What are these, bro? You look like Michael Jackson." Yamal shared the story himself and rated it 10 million out of 10. And yes, there was also his 18th birthday party. This party sparked real controversy in Spain. Performers with dwarfism were hired, disability rights groups raised concerns, and it triggered an official investigation. For an 18-year-old, this is a harsh example of what fame can cost. You see, this isn't just a football story. This is the story of a young man stepping onto the world's biggest stage at 18. Talent, confidence, mistakes, criticism, all wrapped together. Now let's get to 2026. Because here's where the story gets tense. Spain's last World Cup title was 2010. 16 years ago. Since then, they've never gone past the quarterfinals. And now, Spain's creative weight, the hopes of millions, rests on the feet of an 18-year-old. But here's where the drama is. In April, Yamal suffered a hamstring injury while taking a penalty for Barcelona. It ended his season early. He even missed the match where Barcelona won the La Liga title. Afterwards, he said something that stuck with me. "I was praying inside that it wouldn't be serious, because I knew the World Cup was so close." But here's the good news. Yamal has returned to full training. Coach De La Fuente has confirmed that Yamal will feature in Spain's opening match against Cape Verde on June 15th. Maybe not the full 90 minutes, maybe just 15 minutes off the bench to start, building up gradually through the group stage. But he will play. In his first World Cup match, he will be on the pitch. This season, 2025-26, among teenagers in Europe's top 5 leagues, only one player recorded more goal involvements than Yamal. 18-year-old Lennart Karl of Bayern Munich. Yamal sits second with 27. And remember, that's just among teenagers. And in terms of dribbles completed in the top 5 leagues, Yamal ranks first, ahead of Vinicius Jr., 265 successful dribbles. An 18-year-old kid completes more dribbles than Vinicius Jr. and still finds time to place a crown on his head. Pelé introduced himself to the world at 17 in 1958, crying. Mbappé won a trophy at 19 in 2018, quietly. Yamal walks into his first World Cup at 18 in 2026, with a European title already in his pocket, voted the second best player on the planet, trading jabs with critics on social media, placing imaginary crowns on his head. These three have nothing in common on the surface. But they all do the same thing. They change the course of history in a single match. I'll be watching from my taverna. And if Yamal steps onto that pitch, if the hamstring holds, I will not take my eyes off him for a second. Because this kid isn't afraid. And in the history of football, kids who aren't afraid usually leave something behind. The field tells no lies. Yamal's injury was real. Spain's 16-year wait is real. And the crown celebration is real too, whether you like it or not. Now you tell me, can Yamal carry Spain to the title this tournament? Will the injury hold him back? And that crown celebration, is it arrogance or just a young man expressing himself? Is the Pelé-Mbappé-Yamal comparison hype, or is it real? Write it in the comments. I'll read every single one. The old whistle is listening. The field tells no lies.